Hey there, I'm Paul Czech, a front-end developer at 10 Pound Gorilla. Today we're going to chat about getting the best out of ChatGPT by diving into 5 fundamental concepts of prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is a hot field these days, especially with the rise of generative AI. It's a skill worth honing, and you can find classes on platforms like Udemy and Coursera to up your game in interacting with ChatGPT and other generative AI. Crafting effective prompts is an art, and I'm just scratching the surface here. This presentation is going to be very high level and more like a very quick intro. I'm hoping to turn this into a series as I dig deeper into the topic and provide more insights in future presentations as I continue to learn chip. So just getting started, as I mentioned, I'm just beginning to learn more about how to craft prompts for ChatGPT or any generative AI. And just in the basic research, came across 5 fundamentals. And the fundamentals may seem very obvious or very much like common sense, but when I've applied them, they've made a big difference in the responses I'm getting. So first, let's talk about what is prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is the process of crafting text in a manner that makes sense to a generative AI model, such as ChatGPT. When interacting with ChatGPT, it's beneficial to apply the following 5 concepts to ensure improved responses. So those are, again, these may seem like common sense, but they're very effective when they're applied. Be specific and clear, provide context, define the scope, use natural language, and refine through iterations. So let's talk about the first one, being specific and clear. Clarity is key. We want to avoid vague prompts, and we want to specify requests precisely. So like a vague prompt example would be write a blog about JavaScript variables. But to get more specific, we can add a tone and a role to the blog. We can say, write a witty article explaining the differences between JavaScript's let, const, and var declarations in the writing style of someone with 10+ years of development experience. Please provide practical use cases and code examples for each. So we provided more of a tone for the article by saying witty. We could have said, write a sarcastic article, write a technical article, and ChatGPT will respond with an appropriate tone. We gave a role of 10+ years of development experience. We could have said, write in the writing style of a beginning developer, or for an audience of a beginning developer, and that would change the output you got. So being specific and clear is really helpful with responses. Next step would be providing context, and that means background information or circumstances surrounding a request or query. So additional information that helps understand the intent or relevance of your request, or something that assists in providing more accurate and context-aware responses. So prompt with little context would be compare various JavaScript frameworks. And then giving it more context, we'd have, can you compare the latest features and use cases of React, Angular, and Vue.js as of 2023? I'm particularly interested in their performance and suitability for large-scale applications. So context here would be, obviously, 2023, and also the performance and suitability for large-scale applications. So that's providing context. Next would be defining scope. So that's pretty much just specifying the boundaries or limitations of the request. It helps narrow down the request to a particular subset of information and prevents overly broad or irrelevant responses. So again, using the same prompt, we had compare various JavaScript frameworks, but we can define the scope by saying, giving it React, Angular, and Vue.js. So That would be an example of defining the scope. Next, use natural language, which is pretty much just conversational tone, how you talk to another person. Use complete sentences, and if technical jargon is used, provide context. So a non-natural language query would be how to use the fetch API in JavaScript. You wouldn't you wouldn't ask that question to someone if you were talking to them, but you might say, could you please explain how to make HTTP requests using the fetch API in JavaScript, and maybe provide an example of fetching data from an API endpoint. And so there is some technical jargon in here, but it's all in context with the fetch API, the HTTP request, and the API endpoint. So this may give a more targeted response from ChatGPT. And then finally, the fifth fundamental would be refined through iterations. And this is just basically revising prompts through multiple iterations. And the goal is to enhance the clarity and precision of the prompts. This encourages experimentation with different phrasings, context, and scope. So we might start off with tips for JavaScript development and end with something like this. So I've done this in real time. You can kind of, not real time, but an example in actually GPT, where you can see the beginning iteration and how it goes through each one. This refinement would be for context and details. This refinement for targeting a specific audience and use case. And finally, refinement with actionable items. So we can get more refined response through iterations. And then, so just to summarize, the 5 fundamentals would be specific and clear, provide context, define the scope, use natural language, and refine through iterations. And so, yeah, this is just the beginning of me exploring, of my exploration into prompt engineering. And so I'm hoping to learn a lot more and share more in the future and try to provide maybe some really cool tips or techniques and how to get the most out of ChatGPT. And so I was wondering if we want to have a discussion, if anyone has any prompts or techniques that you consider effective when interacting with ChatGPT.
I think number 6 should be to be polite and say thank you to the response. That way, when AI takes over the world, they don't come for you.
Good point.
But yeah, I do like the iteration process that you go through when using ChatGPT or even AI in general. Like I was using Adobe Firefly to try to create some like image concepts, and it's interesting because you can start to get something and then just continue to evolve and get something a little bit more in line with what you're looking for. Where if you're doing something like a Google search, you're kind of just almost like starting over. It seems like every time you're writing a new search or querying for something online.
I've also noticed that the length and time that you interact with a thread or a time of day can make at least with ChatGPT 4, can make a big difference in the response you get back.
Oh, really?
Like it seems like, especially with coding work, the answers I would get back, either the longer I would talk to it, it's like it would eventually start to like study more of the questions I had asked previously or had given it my code previously. Like it didn't initially almost acknowledge it. It did, but it didn't. And then like as I go longer on with it, it's like it would remember more and get better and then give me better results back. But then I don't know if there's like a balance between how long you interact with a thread before it becomes too, like it can't, because I think ChatGPT can't go back. It can only go back so many characters in your thread, but I don't know what that is. I'd be curious to learn more about that too, because from my experiences, like the answers have been different for the length of time I interact with it. In one session, if I come back like the next day and ask that same session, it's like it almost forgot some of the stuff I'd already asked it. I've also noticed that between the non-business hours, especially late in the night, like 10 o'clock at night to 6 in the morning, ChatGPT 4 is faster, quicker, and the responses are better. So I don't know if the allocation of how it goes and retrieves information is, there's less people on it, so it's able to get better information back because it's not as bogged down. But those are some of the experiences I've had.
Have you installed any plugins or anything?
I haven't. I'm just the chat, straight up ChatGPT 4, nothing special. But.
Yeah.
But
I saw.
I don't know if that's just me noticing it, and it's just that's not the case, and that's not really. It doesn't get better with time, and maybe it's just luck, because definitely you can ask the same question 10 times and you're gonna get a slightly different answer back. One thing I noticed along the way was like the more information and more time it had with giving it code or information that I was trying to get from it, the better it seemed to write code back that I was asking help with. So like it would give me a new way to write the whole thing that was like a, if you would call it like bronze, gold, or bronze, silver, and gold, like the gold platinum level. Here you go. Here's your code that I told you the first time how to write, and now I've refactored it for you. And I'm like, well, you're the one that wrote it. So like it seems like it would get better, but that's all that I've experienced. I haven't played with any plugins.
I do have the ChatGPT app installed on my phone, which I use randomly to I don't know, get bits of information, which I do like. I don't know, I looked up some recipe and I like it a lot more to get a recipe from ChatGPT, even though I'm not sure about where that information is coming from and how accurate it is and how good that recipe is. But it's better than reading a huge blog post about how this chicken empanada changed your life or something.
It's I don't know if you can hear me. I had to rejoin, but I would say I had similar experiences to Dustin, but interestingly enough, and just for whatever reason, I was playing with some code, and all I did was change the 2 input URLs. They were exactly the same, and it gave me 2 completely different responses, both of which were correct. One was definitely better than the other, which I think we talked about the last time we talked about AI, right? Is that you have to try to qualify it and have some understanding, or at least continue to do research. The other thing is specifying voice, in the voice of a marketing consultant or a construction worker or whatever, gives it some context as to how you would want to frame a response if you're trying to do content. Voice does help.
Did you try any of the things, Paul, and did you notice any results based off some of these suggestions? Or
you mean the plugins?
Yeah. Did you explore anything that you sort of learned from this?
I installed a few. I got into the 10-pound, and you can go to plugins. And I think there's I think it's on 4.
You had it. Go to that plugins and go to plugins again, and then on the installed. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know, but you can go. They have a store that you can install these. I just wanted to show you this too, and they have different plugins that will consume a PDF and give you the summarize, or this one says a link reader that will. I guess I can summarize YouTube. I don't know. You'd have to try it out, but I wasn't going to try that out. But yeah, there's several here. But yeah, I saw the ones you're talking about on the main. Is it this right here?
Yeah, I mean, the only ones they have on that that Dolly and GBT, and then it can browse the web.
Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our Gorilla Learning Lab. We have a lot more banana tidbits for you to get ape over. Check out our other videos or visit our website at www.10poundgorilla.com. I'm swinging on out of here.
Ooh, ooh, ah, ah. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You're not subscribed? That's bananas!